I got asked recently what holster I use for my Canik SFx Rival-S and what I would recommend to somebody in the market for a Canik holster. So whether you're looking to spend over $100 or less than a buck, I've got a bunch of different options for you. Hi, my name is Nils Jonassen, pro shooter and Canik shooting team captain. That's what I'll be covering in this video, so stay tuned. Keep in mind, I'm a competition shooter, so I approach this from that world. Now, what I look for in a holster is a repeatable, smooth, fast draw, as well as some other characteristics I'll also cover. Let's get the easy, high-budget options out of the way, shall we? If you just want to throw money at it, there are a bunch of great options out there for under as well as over $100. Here are my top 3 in no particular order. Number 1, Black Scorpion gear. Now they make a more basic $65 holster that's legal for competitions across the board, from IDPA to USPSA. These will use a more basic holster attachment system that generally holds the pistol tighter to your body so it's not flopping around as much during movement. They also have a more advanced holster that are essentially the same holster body mounted on an adjustable hanger, so you can fine-tune the holster positioning more to your liking. Now these go from anywhere between $110 and $170 and are great options for USPSA, PCSL, Steel Challenge, IPSC, but generally aren't legal for IDPA and aren't ideal for multi-gun matches where you might be moving around on the clock with a holstered pistol. Another great option is Smoky Mountain concealment. With holsters starting at $85 for the holster body, with attachment options that range from $13 for the Blade Tec-loc all the way to $55 for the more expensive Boss hanger. And last but not least, Red Hill Tactical. They also have a bunch of holster options, and while they're generally a little more expensive, they do give you the ability to customize colors and just make a more customized holster. Honorable mentions: FPS Holsters, which is a newer holster company actually run by a really good friend of mine, and FMG Tactical, which is more of an international brand, but actually manufactures holsters in partnership with Canik. Both make solid holsters, and I've actually won matches with both. Now, maybe you don't want to spend a bunch of extra money on an aftermarket holster. Well, you are in luck, because the Canik Rival-S comes with a holster in the box. This is what ships with your Canik SFx Rival-S, and it's an outside the waistband polymer holster, and as you can see, it holds the pistol securely, and if you want to jump right into competition shooting or just go to the range, this will easily get the job done. But maybe you want to improve your factory holster, maybe increase the adjustment retention range, or mount it to a different hanger. For most of my matches over the last few years, I've done just that. I actually use the factory holster that comes with the Canik, with some small modifications to help increase my draw speed without breaking the bank. Here are the 2 things I like to do to my factory Canik holster. 1, I add a thicker spacer and a longer screw. The holster comes with a very thin spacer that fits between the 2 sides of the holster body. This is where the retention adjustment happens. The factory spacer setup favors more retention over less, which makes sense for a factory holster. In competition, I'm looking for a fast, smooth draw and don't generally need that overly secure retention. By adding a thicker spacer, it pulls the 2 sides of the holster farther apart, reducing the tension applied to the gun. This simple mod costs less than $1 and can make your draw much smoother. Here's the difference between the bone stock holster and one with the modified spacer. All you need for this mod is a rubber spacer of some kind to replace the O-ring that comes from the factory. After a short trip to my local Ace Hardware, I found these rubber grommets that did the job nicely. The factory holster has a C-clip holding the screw in place. So if you overly loosen the tension screw, it will stay in the holster. but the backer has a tendency to back out and can easily be lost. My recommendation would be to add a longer screw to eliminate the risk of that backer falling out. You're looking for a metric machine screw. These M4-.70 by 20 screws worked perfect for me. Remember to bring either the holster or the screw and the other end to the hardware store for reference. The second thing I like to do to my factory holster is mount it to a different hanger. Depending on the application, my hanger preference will actually change. For IDPA and any multi-gun matches, I like a low profile holster that holds the gun close to my body. The factory one will do, or something like a Blaytec Tec-loc also makes a lot of sense for this. Those also make mounting the holster to a rigid belt, like the thick inner-outer style Velcro belts, much easier. For IPSC, Steel Challenge, USPSA, pretty much everything else, I use a Boss hanger, which costs about 55 bucks. Now to mount the Tec-loc, you just unscrew the original attachment and screw on the new one. It doesn't get any easier than that. To mount the Boss hanger, I drill an additional mounting hole in the holster that lines up with whatever mounting pattern I need. This is much easier than it sounds. It's not rocket science. With the hanger aligned on the holster, mark where your extra hole needs to go and drill it out. Remember, I'm not responsible for your damaged holster, so if you're not comfortable doing this, just buy one. Now, this is a Canik holster with the thick spacer mounted on a Tec-loc to give you an idea of how it functions. Notice how relatively tight to my body the holster keeps the pistol and that it isn't flopping around during movement. This is the type of setup that I'll use for IDPA or multi-gun, where there's some movement either with cover garments that can knock your gun around, or while you're shooting another gun and your loaded pistol is holstered. And here's the same holster mounted to a Boss hanger. It's a little more expensive, but a really good hanger. I like the Boss hanger because it's simple and easy, with just enough adjustability for me. Now, if you want more adjustability, check out the T1000 hanger from Henning Group. This is more expensive, but a really good hanger, and gives you almost an unlimited range of motion for adjustability. Also, as a side note, since the steel frame is a little beefier than the polymer, a Rival-S holster almost always will fit the Rival, but a Rival holster from the polymer frame won't necessarily fit the S. Something to keep in mind when shopping for a holster. That's going to be it for this one, folks. My name is Nils Jonassen, pro shooter and Canik shooting team captain. If you have a question, comment, or you have a recommendation as far as holsters, go ahead and drop those comments down below. Have fun, stay safe. See you on the range.